ladies and gentlemen, this is SidAlpha, and I'm coming to you tonight to discuss a disturbing trend in video gaming culture these days, which has been gaining prevalence over the last couple of years. What I'm talking about is this method of early access and pre-orders and things of those nature, which have seeped into standard practices for game developers these past couple of years. Now, what brought this up for me and caused it to be a topic of discussion here today is I have been seeing more and more of my friends personally, and a lot of people I know, actually getting into the habit of purchasing and playing early access games. Games like H1Z1 would be the most recent, more popular early access game that has been trending. And with that, I'm going to be honest here, I really don't understand why people will buy into this. I really don't understand what the draw is. I mean, the only real draw I can see is that, yeah, you get early access to the game. You get into a game that seems interesting to you before it's even finished. Awesome. Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to play a game that's not finished? I mean, I can understand if you're, if it's on, if you get into a beta access or something like that and, help, get access to a game early, help them work out a few bugs. But by that point, the game is, by and large, vastly finished, and all they are doing in the beta process is working out some of the bugs, some of the glitches, trying to prevent crashes and depixelization and pop-in, things like that. Aside from that, the game mechanics are solidly in place, and you're getting just a slightly buggy version of the finished product. But with early access games, that is most definitely not the case. Early access is alpha build or pre-alpha, where the game has large chunks of it which are flat out missing and are in development and will be slid into the game or thrown into the trash bin depending on how things work out with the coding at a later date. And this really bothers me, and this entire trend is something that I really don't like to see, and I hate seeing that's become more and more common practice in the past 2 years. I'm looking back through right now, and I'm seeing games that are still listed on early access after 2 years. Games like, let's see, 7 Ways to Die and DayZ were released in December 2013, and they are still being listed as early access games. And there are a ton of early access games on the Steam shop right now. I'm looking at 11 pages of games, it looks like, which is just an insane amount. And it really bothers me seeing people throw their money at these games. I'm going to run through a few reasons, specifically why this causes such a problem for me, and why you really should be hesitant when you're looking at a game to play in early access or things of that nature. Firstly, there's really absolutely no guarantee the product will ever actually get finished. I mean, like I just said, DayZ and 7 Days to Die, I'm sorry. Those games have been on early access for about 2 years. Okay, well, judging beans, they came out in December. It's actually a year and a half. But a year and a half later, they're still in early access. They haven't moved on to final beta testing and things like that. So basically, and this is very common from what I've been seeing, granted, bear in mind, I could be mistaken. Could be, if I am, please feel free to let me know in the comments below. But from everything I've seen online, we've only got about a 25% success rate. That's 1 in 4 video games that were released on early access that had actually been completed to date. So basically, that means if you buy into an early access game, you get a 1 in 4 chance of actually ever seeing the finished product, which means all you're paying for is a buggy, incomplete mess, and these people took your money and spent it. And then you will never get a chance to play that finished product. Another one of the large reasons that I can't understand the frustration is who would want to play a game that has large chunks of it missing. Current states of most early access games are very buggy. Large sections of the game flat out just haven't been put in. Game mechanics could change even radically from what you're playing now to what you would be playing 2 or 3 months from now. And granted, I know for some people it could be interesting to, kind of see and watch that development cycle. But as far as a gameplay perspective, I don't understand how that could be appealing for someone, and it's just not good. And one other thing you have to watch out for when you're dealing with early access games is whenever you say, hey, this isn't working right, or this game's a piece of crap, or this game wasn't worth the money, or something like that, the game developers have a very easy out. Very easy. They can just cop out and say, well, the game's not finished yet, wait until you see the finished product. Wink. And yeah, like we said before, only 1 in 4 ever actually reach the finish line. So it's an easy cop-out for them, and easy way for them to be able to just say, shrug their shoulders and say, well, just wait for the finished product and keep taking your money. Now, also, the problem is you're deliberately buying into an unfinished product. So if the game is crap, or if you feel like you're getting ripped off, you have absolutely no protection or recourse because you knew you were buying into an early access game when you purchased it. Not always. So there are some game developers that try and hide the fact that it's an early access game when you try or when you go to purchase it, and that is shady shit, and companies like that should be avoided like the plague. And the last thing that I really have to say, big huge point that means early access is a bad thing, is the straight up boredom factor. For those lucky 1 in 4 games that actually do reach the finish line, you've already been playing this game for months and months and months, or a year or more. By that time, a lot of people will have lost interest in it, and so you don't even see what the finished product is like. You've already moved on to other games, and that is a shame. It really is. Especially with, from what I hear, H1Z1 seems like a fantastic game so far. I refuse to take a look at it because it's an early access. I refuse. Plus, if it is a fantastic game, I want to wait until it's at the finish line. I want to see the complete game. I want to see it with all the mechanics in place, all the storyline, everything they have to offer. I want it to be there before I give them my money. Now, on the converse side, there have been some occurrences where with early access and things like that, some games that have been finished that were on early access never would have been able to be finished had they not gone early access, because that income, that extra revenue they generated from that allowed them to be able to pay salaries and things like that to be able to get the game to that finished point. And for those few games that did happen for them, that's fantastic, awesome, but they are by far and away in the minority here. Another thing that is really, really going against you as a consumer that I'm still seeing pushed on us time and time again is this culture of pre-ordering games. Pre-orders are basically your AAA way of buying into early access, except you have no way of knowing whether or not that game's going to be absolute shit or if it's going to be one of your favorite games of all time. You are taking a huge risk and a huge gamble every time you pre-order a game, and there have been a lot of games that did have massive amounts of pre-orders and turned out to be absolute crap. There's also a lot of games out there that had massive amounts of pre-orders and turned out to be amazing. But this pre-order culture, this also offers you no protection or recourse. If the game was garbage, tough. You shouldn't have pre-ordered it then. And, it also allows for a bit of developer laziness because with the pre-orders, they can actually... I shouldn't say developer laziness, but it's a way for them to be able to milk more money out of you. Because with the pre-orders, like, oh, get this character that you can play if you pre-order now, or all this other stuff that they already have made, that they're actually... a lot of times they're carving content out to give it to pre-orders only, which, I can see if it's skins or, color mods and things like that, or different style of guns where they have the same functionality as guns that are already in the game, but they just have a different or a more awesome look to them or a feel to them, different outfits and things like that, things that don't directly interact with the core game mechanic. Because I understand within the last few months of a game's development cycle, all those guys that are developing those skins and things like that, those techs, those artists, they are sitting around doing nothing. So yeah, they, work on some additional skins and things like that. And if you throw that onto a pre-order, I'm fine with it. But there have been a lot of companies, and it's becoming much, much more and more common. Even with the new Batman release that's coming out soon, they're actually carving off Harley Quinn to, for pre-orders, which is bullshit. I'm sorry. When you actually take a piece out of the game to be able to give to pre-orders or to be able to offer as early access to that playable character for people who pre-order, and then sell it back to the people who bought the game after release as DLC, that is shady shit. It should not be allowed. Never. No. Which also, leads me to another point, is they're with this pre-order culture that has been slowly building up in the gaming industry today. They are providing less and less content for the same amount of money, and excuse me. And, that's not true of all developers. I mean, a perfect example would be The Witcher 3 that just recently came out. A massive, massive game, and I did not see anything actually carved out of the game to be able to provide as a pre-order bonus or anything like that. Granted, I could have missed something. Don't take everything I say as my own opinion, not as fact. I've researched as best as I could, but if I miss something, then I miss something. I'm not perfect, I am human, so it does happen. So try and bear that in mind. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. This is all 100% opinion. And it's all 100% my trying to educate you as a consumer about the dangers and the problems that go along with things like early access and pre-orders. One other thing is, again, with pre-orders and early access, you have no guarantee of value whatsoever, which I said, I have stated before, but just to put it out there again, no guarantee of value at all. Every time you buy an early access game or you buy a pre-order, you are taking an unnecessary risk that the developers didn't just crap in their hands and toss it at the wall to see what stuck and then just went with it, Sometimes that happens. It's something that just boggles my mind that so many people do it, and I really wish to God you would stop. Stop making these poor decisions. Stop spending your money on games that will never be finished, because that sets a precedent that other people can and are taking advantage of, putting out a game on early access, soaking people for tons of money, and then never delivering a finished product. That is not okay. And by purchasing early access games, you are enabling them to be able to do that. Stop it, please. Isn't your money worth anything to you? Isn't your time worth anything to you? because that's basically what you are giving them for little to no return, is your own time, your time that you spend wanting to sit and relax and enjoy a good game. I can understand your excitement, your thrill, you're wanting to be able to, gotta get into that game before it's even completed. Check it out. Yeah, that's awesome. Or buy that game on pre-order so I guarantee that I'll have a disc in my hand, or that it'll be able to download it while I'm at work so I can start playing it as soon as I get home. That's great in theory. And for some games, it works out for you. It works out well. But for the vast majority of them, it really doesn't. And by people continuing to buy into these early access games and these pre-order games, you are further setting the precedent that these companies and these developers can take advantage of you whenever they want. So please try and use a little bit of common sense when you're dealing with game purchasing. Have a little faith. This is part of one of the things that YouTube is so fantastic for. Like, if you want to go see if you haven't played Witcher 3 yet, go out there and do a YouTube search for Witcher 3 reviews and things like that. You're going to find a ton of them. You will. And you will be able to see from multiple points of view. And that's one thing you should remember. Never take a single reviewer's word on a game. Always take a look at a few different reviews to see, because a lot of people will cover different things and have different ways of going about it. But watch a few reviews and see how that works out for you, how that makes you feel about the game afterwards. And then, if you're still excited about the game, if you still want to get it, then by all means go out and buy it and enjoy. But try and show a little bit of consumer awareness, because these shady practices that we've been seeing with early access and pre-orders and companies carving off content to be able to sell back to you later has to stop. And it won't if we keep on continuing the way we have been. So that being said, that is my opinion on early access and pre-order in general. Please remember to like, favorite, and subscribe, and tell all your friends. And I'll see you next time.